Hi, welcome back to my channel Visa Talks with K. So if you are here, if you're watching this video, chances are that you are trying to write an SOP, which is a statement of purpose, or a letter of explanation, which is LOE, and you need help in writing it. So don't worry, I got you covered, right? Because I'll be sharing with you 7 proven SOPs that I use in getting visas for people. These SOPs I've used it in Canada, I've used it for Korea, I've used it for Malta, I've used it for various countries, right? So I'll be sharing with you 7 live documents that you can use as a guide to help you write your own SOP. Okay, aside even sharing you these physical guides, right, I would also share I'll share information around the main structures that constitute a proper and professional SOP or LOE that would increase your chances of getting a visa. So let's get started, guys. So first things first, what is exactly an SOP? That's a statement of purpose or a letter of intent. So a statement of purpose is actually a document that allows you to explain, that gives you the opportunity to explain to the visa officer on why you are applying for your visa and what's your intention in the purpose destination country. That's the country you're applying your visa to. Why an LOE, which is a letter of explanation, is a particular document that you use in clarifying gaps in your application, in your visa application, in terms of documentation, in terms of missing documents or what have you. You use it as an explanation, as the name implies, right, to clarify issues around your visa application. So on this video, like I promised, here are the 5 main structures of how you could draft your SOP or LOE. So the first structure or the first opening paragraph for your LOE or SOP is the introduction. That's the introduction part that, of course, introduces you, your name, what you do particularly, and basically why you're trying to apply for the visa. So the second structure, the second paragraph follows through with the background, your background, and specific qualification. So for instance, if you're applying for a study visa, of course your background would be introducing your degree, introducing what qualifications you have, and of course your work experience. Then the third structure looks at your intention to the destination country, right? So make emphasis on your genuine intention, like you're returning to your home country after your purpose of visit is fulfilled. That's for study, right? Or even for visiting, right? So specifically making clear the intentions of your destination to the country that you're visiting. Also, you can also include the motivation, what really motivated you, right, to visit this particular country or to choose this country as your choice destination, right? So you can also use this third structure, this third paragraph, to explain this in detail. Like I mentioned, I have a live document that I will be sharing with you after this session, so that you can see specifically how these 5 structures were clearly reflected on the 7 documents I'll be sharing with you. So the fourth structure, which is the fourth paragraph, speaks to your financial ties, your financial support, and ties to your home country, right? So your financial strength. How will you be able to support your trip financially? Self-sponsored, you have a personal sponsor, you have a family sponsor. You mention it at this third paragraph, right? And also buttress strongly your home ties. Your home ties is why you would come back after you've completed your agenda in that country you're visiting. So ensure you buttress that strongly. Then of course you conclude the whole write-up you've written, so that it gives them like a kind of a brief summary of really. So sentences like, oh, I assure you that I'll abide by the immigration rule, or rather, I assure you that I would come back after I finish my studies. As some of those sentences you use as a concluding part. You'll be seeing it again in the video I'll be sharing after this session. So the first SOP I'll be using as a practical guide, as I promised, is the SOP that was used for a Canada study visa. This person is in Canada right now, and if you look at it, like I mentioned, the first starting paragraph of an SOP is always the introduction. So you could see how she introduced herself, how she mentioned her degree, the class of her degree, and the university she graduated from. Then proceeding down, she now provided the background in terms of what really was her foundation in terms of her first degree. What subject did she really study? So she went on that, buttressed on that, provided clear skills of what she had gained from the school. Then she went down to providing information around what the work duty, like what she does at work, right? What's her work experience? She provided that also, and now linked that into the program she will be studying at Canada, right? So you could see those linkages very clearly mentioned in our document. Then she proceeded to providing basic information around what the school offers, like the program itself. What do they offer? Like, what's our interest? Like, what is our passion in choosing that particular program? Then she also mentioned how the program would aid our transition. She's into marketing, but she wants to transit into an HR role upon completion of her study. So she's already putting in the ties of how and why she would come back after study. Then she did her research, right? She mentioned by the school, the why she chose the school, why she chose that course. Mentioned the background of Canada, of its reputation as the best, as a leading destination for international students. So look at it clearly. She went further and on to provide ranking of what of Canada, like, in terms of the education system, right? Internationally, comparing it with local, international, and all that. So, I mean, you're seeing the SOP on your screen, so you would actually take a deep dive and read really in details. But it is well structured. It followed the clear structure I had mentioned. Then, of course, at the end, she buttressed that yes, her parents are late, right? But then she's having an opportunity to come back because she has a business and she has a role to play, in terms of respecting her parents' memory. So everything was well played out. You mentioned how the sources of funds. Remember the structure. One of the structure is show of financial ties and financial strength and ties and all that. So look at how she mentioned how she has a business, but then family sales of property was what pushed her, or what was used rather to, fund her education. What, and this would continually be used, and our brother would also be supporting her. Then lastly, the conclusion, right? So remember, at every beginning of an SOP, yes, there's an introduction, and lastly there will be a conclusion, and this is the conclusion. This second SOP was used for a Malta study application. I don't, if many of you that don't know Malta is a Schengen country in the European Union, and it's also a quite good destination for people that are seeking to study in Malta. I also processed that. I've had success stories of how I processed Malta study visa. This particular applicant is also, she's in Malta right now. And look at how we're able to coin out our introduction. I'm sorry, our SOP. Same process. Introduction first. Provided qualifications around information around our qualifications and background. Linked it up with the school, linked it up with our own work experience, linked it up with the why she chose Malta as a study, as a place of interest, right? And also emphasizing on what are the strengths of the university. All this sums up into the background, right? Then also she made her research. She discussed about how the living opportunities and living conditions in Malta, this is a very solid SOP. This is a very solid SOP. And of course, she concluded in summary. And remember, your SOP should always be concise. If you look at this is just one page. The earlier one I shared with you was was a 2-page document. This is just one page. Be concise, get all the facts, don't write long stories, and be rest assured that this would be a buy-in for you. When this lady submitted her application, there were like 5 or 6, according to what she said, when she submitted at VFS in Lagos, but then only her, because she had to exchange numbers from people, only her got the visa. So you could see that, with this SOP alone, it's giving her like 50% or 60%, backing of why she wants to study in Malta. So look at this and also use it as a guide. Remember, don't copy. 1,001 persons watching this video, so make your own as unique and as it relates to you. So yes, this SOP, the third SOP I'll be sharing with you, was actually used for a Canada visiting visa, and this particular client was interested in going to Canada to write the Red Seal exam. It's a technical exam. I think it's very popular among the people in technical field, right? So he reached out to me, sent his first draft of the SOP. It wasn't too impressive, and I gave him this as a guide. And guess what? Of course, he got the visa, right? So basically, if you look at it, also introducing himself, introducing basically, this is more for visiting. So you talk more around your work, right, rather than giving them more details around your degree, right? So you could see the difference, visiting and stuff. So, but this is visiting, and of course, he went into it, provided information, provided what he wants to go and do in Canada, provided a justification for why he chose the rescue program, clearly mentioning that yes, he had colleagues from Ghana on a mission to Nigeria, and through interaction they exposed him to the certification. And also he had, so after that information shared, he also noticed how the program like accelerated promotion for persons that have gone through the Red Seal certification, right? So all these provided justifications for why he wants to go, what the motivation are. Then he went further to provide information around the Red Seal exam details, focusing on where you take the exam and all that. Then because when I say we I actually did this, so but then let's just speak in that term. So because we discovered that most time Canada will refuse you because of inconsistent purpose of visit, right? And I've come to realize that one of those reasons would be that you're saying you're going for a visiting and you're just spending 5 days. What's the rationale? When you travel almost 24 hours or some 48 hours to a country and just spend 5 days and go back. It doesn't make sense, right? So with that, we have to clarify that yes, it's just spending 5 days for the exam. However, once the visa is granted, it tends to come back again, right, as a tourist. So that gives them two things. Yes, this guy is going and coming back, and two, he really knows what he's doing, right? Because the visa is most likely, they gave him a 9-year visa actually. So then you'll see that he knows what he's doing and is prepared. So this sentence actually gave us a good edge, while he submitted. And of course, he provided his socioeconomic situation in Nigeria, his family, and what have you, and gave a bit of summary of documents he will be attaching to his application. And of course, he concluded. So, and this is quite different from others. The closing part, he put his name, his position, the department he works at, and the address of the company. Remember, this is more professionally inclined, so we had to do a bit of tweaking in terms of the process of addressing and all that. But then he got the visa, and he's also preparing to go to Canada. So yes, the fourth SOP I'll be using to explain is actually a letter of explanation now. This, so many of you might not know, I actually process Korean visas, but I don't do more of it. Maybe I'll start showing I also success stories on visa processed for Korea. But then this letter of explanation was used for someone intending to visit Korea on, of course, tourism, and this is how we drafted it. One pager, not too much talk, basically. Then because this person had a unique case, she has actually visited Korea before, but again, that doesn't guarantee that they'll give you visa again, right? I've seen people refused and second time and all that too. But then she's visited before, she wants to visit again. She visited on a different purpose, right? But now she wants to visit as a tourist, and we were able to, coin out a one pager for her, and of course she got the visa. So the structure follows the same: introduction, background, justification for visit, intention for visit, and of course the conclusion. So this is how this was done. So the fifth document I'll be using to make explanation is the letter of intent on the purpose of visit to Portugal, right? This was a single applicant that had visited Portugal before, and he wants to now use the opportunity to revisit again. He had visited with his family and he wants to revisit again as a single person. Again, visiting a country before does not guarantee that you would be given visa again. But then he provided clearly introduction, provided intention of why he wants to visit now alone, right? Also, he provided information on what this trip will entail, providing information around booked arrangement for accommodation and what have you. Then, of course, he went on to provide his work background, right? Provided information around documents that have been attached. Then, of course, he concluded. Basically, simple one pager, you are done with
the letter of intent. I mean, again, this is a visiting visa, so no much grammar and no much talk, right? But then visa was of course approved. So this sixth SOP was actually used for, of course, a Canada study permit application. She's been in Canada for over a year now. She of course followed the structure. Of course, we drafted this obviously, but then she followed the structure. She followed the information around what educational background she has and what have you. But the unique case about this person was that she was actually using the HR course to transition. She actually studied geology, in her first degree, but then she has a very strong interest in going to study an HR course in Canada. Basically, yes, she had so her motivation was a childhood experience, right? A childhood experience motivated her because she saw her aunt at that time working with PZ, and she was quite interested and wanted to be like her. So, but she started that process, and I mean, she was able to, transition, and became a senior HR generalist. But then there was a need to be promoted to become the head of the HR department, which of course requires some form of higher educational qualification, and it's always a competitive process. So again, all this provided motivation for why she is I'm wanting to go study in Canada. So she did that. I mean, she sold the story well. She placed it in structured the SOP well, and of course provided career aspirations, provided ranking and motivation for why she chose Canada as a destination, provided information around her financial obligations, how she'll be sponsoring herself and all that, and of course concluded, right? And of course, she got the visa, right? She's in Canada also right now. So this is another clear example of how you provide SOPs. I've given you 6 SOPs now, and if you go forward and go back, you will discover that they don't even look alike, right? Same person writing the SOPs, but then because it is the approach to writing an SOP is based off of a personal experience. So I don't say I'll write an SOP for you. Make your SOP yourself, then give me to review. In that way, I don't lose the person, because I can't speak for you, right? I don't know your personal experience, but then I can now structure it in a more professional way. That's where my job comes in. So look at these 6 SOPs and you could see that no single resemblance in terms of comparing the SOPs together. So this last document is a letter of intent that was used for a family application to Portugal. The man, the husband, the wife, and the child actually visited Portugal, and this, because it's a joint visit, then it has to reflect both the husband and wife details summed up together, right? So you could see how this was clearly mentioned, in terms of the body of the SOP or the letter of intent in this case. Yes, current employment status for both wife and the husband, objective of the visit to Portugal, just a simple thing. They saw video on YouTube, they were interested, and they decided to visit. Also, the principal applicant had tried to visit Portugal before. He got the visa, but he didn't use it, so he had to kind of provide rationale or reason, justification of why he didn't use that visa. So this is what this underlined paragraph was just trying to explain. Then of course, provided information around the itinerary and what they're really going to do in Portugal. Basically, also in closing, he provided emphasis on how he has previous strong ties, travel history, and what have you, which would require him to come back because he doesn't want to dent his travel records and all that. Of course, he has strong current employment status and what have you. And at the end, he was of course co-signed by the husband with his phone number and the wife with her phone number, and that was it. So, and of course, they got the visa, and this as a kind of gives you a different side to how you could write a letter of intent as a family.
So guys, after I've shared these 7 documents, I believe you'll find it very, very helpful. So there are some bonus tips of how you can improve your SOP or LOE. So like you see in the document that I shared, I was quite concise. I wasn't basically, giving them 5, 6, 7 pages of document, because these are visa officers, they're human beings, so they get tired, right? So make it very concise and be honest with your responses. Also, be very, very professional. Use professional language and keep it personal rather, and authentic. Also, ensure that you proofread your grammar and clarity. There are several AI apps applications that actually help you improve your the grammar and quality of your write-up. So when you write it, send it through various AI channels like Grammarly, like ChatGPT, and what have you. I'm sure it will give you an improved structure. Remember, don't go to ChatGPT and copy word for word. 1,001 persons, even 1,000,001 persons are also using that same system. So guess what? You write that SOP, you copy it, you take it there, and the same person so it becomes a repetition. Obviously, you get caught that you use ChatGPT or whatever AI tool. So be original. Make your own original structure first, then send it to ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you're using to help you structure it. In that way, you would sound very personal, you'll be authentic, and you won't have any issues at all with plagiarism and what have you, or maybe getting struck out because they don't believe you because you use an AI tool, right? So lastly, if there is a word count or guideline provided by the country you're applying to, stick to that format. Don't go write your own personal or don't you go write with your own personal guide, right? Stick to the guidelines that you're given to if the country you're applying to actually requests for one. Okay guys, that is it, right? So writing an SOP or letter of explanation doesn't have to be stressful when you follow this clear structure I've given to you, right? So if you find this video very helpful, please don't forget to give me the thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe so that you can get more visa tips that I'll be sharing on this channel. And also, you can share the video with someone you know that would need this content to help them write their SOP or LOE. So I'm open to helping you write your SOP or LOE at a premium service, at a premium cost. So you can reach out to me in the description section. My email is there. On this video, my email is also there, so that you can reach out to me. We'll book a session and I will help you write a tailored SOP that fits your case. So good luck in your visa application, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.